All in all, it's been a while since I did a video. I've been in the depths and draws of looking at pedals and trying to figure stuff out. And I'm a bit lost. So I'm going to ask for some help. First up, welcome back all the new guys to the channel. How's it going? I wanted to first up discuss this thing, the Freakout. This was my first ever fully manual pedal. It's not analog, it's obviously digital. I had a big discussion going on in one of the main Helix groups as to whether or not this could be replaced by the Helix, and here's my results after a couple of weeks messing with this thing. I think, first up, I think that yes, the Helix can do that and can probably do better and more things. I downloaded a couple of attempts that people had done and started messing with it and got some really interesting results. And one of the first things I did was stick the acoustic simulator pedal under the EQ section in there and really started messing with it, and that got some amazing, truly cool results. Sort of like, you know, engines revving in Star Wars and the chase scenes and all that kind of stuff. All stuff that I really dig. I also really dig, coming from a MIDI perspective, the fact that you can change all these things in real time, or you can change them remotely from another controller somewhere. And that brings me to what I really actually dig about this thing. What is different for me. It's coming into guitar, I have no pedals whatsoever. It's always been digital software. So I'd never had to mess with this, and I really like actually messing around with physical pedals. On the Helix you can do all that. I do all of my dialing in on the unit itself. This thing, not having any kind of control, you can't just swing and switch between this. So this is a hands-on, touchy-feely pedal. That was also, interestingly enough, the reason why I got the Iridium. I was thinking, when I got this, I just wanted more knobs to play with. I wanted to try and see the difference between dialing in on screen and dialing in like this. Both work. But with these touchy-feely things, it puts you in a space where either you've got it up on your desk and you're messing with it, or you're going to be scrunched down, sitting down. And that's something I normally would not want to do. I also would not want to have, you know, $400 or whatever this thing costs, or, you know, all this stuff sitting around out in the elements. But it's got to be said. It's really got to be said. Having these things there and getting into dial in, flick in, test and touch adds a dimension for me that is completely different. So will I be keeping this thing? Yeah, I will. These feedback lights here and the usage of the momentary switch give you a level of feedback that you just don't get out of a Helix at all. Or if you've been like me, I've been in quite a mood lately where it's just, you know, so much stuff. You kind of want to jump back to something simple, sit there and just play with it and explore in the sounds. You know, you get where I'm coming from. Put some sort of comment down below and see where it is. I've been kind of in a deep funk lately. I don't know if it's just a lockdown or what, but trying to break out of it with this thing. Into the Wazes, it's great. Into a lot of stuff, it's pretty cool. And sitting down, you know, stretched out on the floor or something like that, and just going for it, or trying it in different positions, and, you know, from standing, from sitting, how's it work, all that sort of stuff. The interactions I think you get with this thing, you can't really duplicate that exactly in a Helix. You can go over it, but it's not the same feeling. And that brings me to this week's question. Because I've been digging all through all manner of drives and all that sort of stuff. That is one crazy world. It really is. I asked John Cordy this recently, and maybe it's adjacent Salites or even better Steve Sterlacci for this, as he just recently got, you know, a manual drive pedal, whatever the thing is called, the Misha, what's his name, Mansour one. Are you getting something different going analog in? This has got a JFET input stage. I can say without a shadow of a doubt that this compared to the Stomp is different. Not better, not worse, but it is distinctly different. There's something touchy-feely wise in there from a guy that doesn't really, never really cared about touchy-feely because it's always been software. Why is there that difference? What is the JFET doing? This is a digital emulation. This is another Helix. It's a computer. You know, this is a computer. So this is my big question for the week, the month. All of your analog drivey types that are out there. I've been looking at the Gladio. I've been looking at various pedals like that. What do they give you in terms of touch? There's 1,000,000,001 videos out on net that all discuss how similar the modeling is to the original, and you know, it's 80%, 90%, 95%, 90%, whatever. To me as a guitarist, I don't really care about that. And I wonder, is that a common thing? I honestly couldn't care less. I would use any of these things and dial in the sound I want. But touch-wise, how much is there something there and how much isn't there? And it's a serious question because I don't have these things to tell the difference. That they're confused and delighted me. There is a difference, and differences are good. So for everyone out there with external drives, I've been looking at the Source Audio one as well, is there this massive difference between an all analog drive, something like a Kismet maybe, which is also Midi, something like the King of Tone, something like the King of Tone clones, which everybody says, you know, hey, just get that. Maybe I'll find one of those, but I haven't seen where to get one yet. They all come out of Asia. This is the question. If you're going to get a drive pedal, overdrive, fuzz, whatever you want, something that's going to slam the front of this amp, how big of a deal is it really? Sound-wise, if you put these things through a spectrometer and check and tell, you would see this, they're all really close. I don't think listening out the other end, you would ever tell the difference in a blind test. But what is it that you feel? That makes a lot of differences into how you're playing. Really does. Interesting. You know, I never in a million years would have thought that I would jump out of the digital world and start going into the analog world and finding power and cabling and building out pedal boards and all that stuff. Eesh. It's a bit much. The MIDI world is so much simpler and cooler. But the curiosity is